love doing this one. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this top here, get rid of that. Now, what you want to do is you want to make a thin cut part of the way down the daikon. Oh, hold on, let me even that up one more time. Quite like that. Okay. Here we go, a little bit better. Now, the thinner this goes, the more these petals are going to open up. See, I'm about 2/3 down. I'm not going to go all the way down, just about 2/3 down, right? Then I'm going to come out and I'm going to go ahead and cut the same width, but this time I'm going to go all the way through, okay? And I'll pull this off. So I've got this going for me right now, okay? You see that? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the bottom off and square it, okay? Because this is where my body is going to start off with. The next thing I'm going to do is, and I like to do this with an X-Acto knife, okay? It's just a little bit of a sharper blade. It's smaller and it's a little bit more agile, okay? And we've got to make a lot of little dinky cuts in here, so it's just a little bit easier to use something like this than it is to use something else. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make my head, okay? And there's a really simple head. You know, you can get elaborate with this stuff, but it's really not that necessary. Remember, you got to do several of them at once, okay? So that's my first cut. Trim it up if you got any little excess, no big deal. Okay? And I got that shape, okay? You can see where the head is going to be. Now the next thing I got to do is get his antennae separated out. So I'm just going to come a little bit over here and I'm going to make a quick cut. Okay? And then I'm just going to come right through it just like that. Okay? Then I'm going to come right back here and I'm going to do another cut just the same. And I'm going to come right out. Okay? There's his little antennae, if you will, coming out right there. Next thing I gotta do is decorate these wings. And I'm also going to go ahead and take off any rest of this peel, because the peel is not very attractive, okay? But I like to leave the peel on it because it gives me a little bit more room, okay? When I go to the wings, I like to go ahead and cut my butterfly's back end out of here, okay? And then I'm going to round this out. And I'm going to take off the rest of this peel. Okay, oh, like a little knobby there. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a V shape here. Round my edges a little bit so it's not too straight. Okay, so we got our butterfly wings started, yeah? So, but they don't really look good unless you start to put little designs in them. So, and you can do this with your hand like I'm doing, or you can do it with a hole punch if you got, and like even the tip of a small round pastry tip works just fine for this. Okay, if you want to use something like that. They make all sorts of different kinds of punches and stuff. But I've been doing it with the knives so long that that's just how I do things. So I'll usually do one there. I like to do one at the edge of this wing too. The daikon's getting a little old. It's better if you can get them when they're really fresh because they're a lot harder, so they're easier to carve. They don't bend so much when you're trying to carve through them. But if your knife is good and sharp, that won't matter too much. You'll be able to get your cuts out no problem. Okay, so now I got my two little holes. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do like just a little, kind of like almost like a shield here on the larger wing on the top. Make sure it's going to come out even and clean. Okay, you don't want to force these things out of here because you can easily rip this sucker, and that'll really ruin your day. You'll be mad throwing produce. No need to throw the produce. So just work it out. Let it come out on its own. Here it comes. All right. So. Again, this is another one of those, water is going to help us out a lot. cold ice water overnight will really let this guy open up, and we have a nice, pretty little butterfly. Okay, we can get more ornate on these wings if we really want to, or if you want to soak them in, if you want to use a little food coloring in your water overnight, that'll give it like a little bit of a color to it. Okay, and that can often look very nice, a little color. Okay, so
go.
Okay, so the swan's real easy. I'm just gonna make a cut here and a cut here. Now this is gonna be important later, so we'll save that piece. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a little bit of a triangle here. Just nice little angle cut. Make sure this piece comes out, okay, just like that. And I'm gonna cut on either side of it. Okay, just like this. Okay. Here, I go slow for you, right? Come in nice, just like that. Okay, so now I've got 3 segments cut, right? Make sure it comes out clean now. Ooh, I shouldn't have sharpened this guy. There it goes. Now, I'm going to do the same thing on the side, but I'm only going to do 2 on my side. Okay, now if you've got big apples like Gala's, or sometimes the Fujis can get really big, you can do 3s and 7s and da-da-da-da. But it's always good to do at least 1 to 2 more on the top than you do on the sides. Because the top's going to be our tail feather, and the side's going to be our wings. Okay? And it's just those angle cuts, that's it. That's all you have to do. Okay, so this is super easy. As long as you can make an angle. Which I've seen your knife skills. You guys are all great at angles. What? It was a compliment. Okay, so we got that going for us. We're just going to pull these guys right out. Just like that. Okay. Now you can use your paring knife. You just kind of sit in there, give it a twist. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to make my swan's head. Okay. Okay, and make this pretty simple, guys. Don't overcomplicate things. Because you got to make a whole bunch of these things on the fly. Wow, swan.
Wow. That wasn't easy.
Now let's talk about carving melons. Now what I'm going to show you guys is going to be a really easy version of it. Okay, it's not going to. From here, we're going to start out with real nice angled patterns, but from here you can start to work in those curves and things like that. Okay, but I'm going to show it the way it's the best way to get started. All right. Now, the more you practice at this, the more intricate you can get these melons. And if you've ever looked online or anything like that, some of those guys get very intricate. Okay, but that takes a lot of practice. So we're going to do the really easy version of it first, and we're just going to move on. Borrow your knife to do. A paring knife too. I don't know why it is students love to steal my paring knife. They leave my bird's beak, they always take my paring knife. I'm like, well, that's very nice. Okay, so now like I said, the best thing to do here, we're gonna do this real simple like. Okay, you can use this as a starting place, that's fine. Or if you don't necessarily can't see something like this, we can always draw a circle with a coin or whatever we want to do. Okay, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do 4 lines, kind of like a compass, right? I want them to try and keep them pretty close to right next to each other. Okay, now this is really key to getting this whole thing to work out, or these first sets of petals. So now from here I'm just going to make an angle cut on each side. Okay. I'm going to connect from that one to the next one. Like I said, this is the most important part. You get these petals right, everything else will come from these petals. And like I said, it's okay if it's a little not exactly perfect. Like I said, there's no perfect flowers out there. They don't exist. And some chefs like to take all the peel off of them, that's cool too. That's not a problem at all. It makes it a little bit easier to cut when all the peel's off of them, but I kind of like to have the 3 different tones of colors because it's kind of fun. Okay, now from here my next step is I'm going to try and trace around these petals because my next petal is going to come right here. Okay, now for you guys, I want you'll make a big wide leaves. Okay, don't try and keep them as thin as I'm going to go. Okay, and when I'm doing this for professional purposes, I'll go even thinner than this because I'll go so thin it'll take the actual rind off of it for the most part. But this, like I said, this will be a good start for you guys. Notice I'm not coming really down into this thing, right? You don't want to gouge it out too much because we want to have a little bit of something left for it to work with, okay? Okay, so nice and outlined. Then I'm going to go ahead and just like I did before, I'm going to make my little line. Now I'm going to come from the middle of these first sets of petals down. Okay, just like this. You have to work your way in there a couple times. Make sure you're getting it nice and all the way to the back. You might have to cut these petals again. Okay, just to make sure it's going to release. It should just come right on out of here. Just a second. And don't force it again, guys. Any of this stuff, don't force it because it will break your piece, and that's definitely not what you want to do. Especially get like halfway into cutting one of these things and then you break it, you'll be upset. Now they make nice gouges and stuff that'll do this kind of work for you too, but you don't always have that. You should always have some sort of paring knife with you. Okay, so here we go again. Second verse, same as the first. Notice I'm using my thumb on my left hand to kind of steady where I'm going, okay? As I don't want to just punch right through this thing. I want it to come out clean. Just like that. Alright, so my next one's coming right here, okay? Okay, starting to get the idea. Starting to look a little bit like a flower, or at least something. Start to make the petals look a little bit more curved, and you put the little dip, the teardrop dip that a lot of the melon carvers like to put in there. Get those different shapes of the petals, but this is a great way to get started, okay? And this is the simplest melon carving you can do. It doesn't get any simpler than this. Okay, so my next petal is just going to come right here from middle to middle, yeah, like that. And you're going to notice as you go down, your petals will get bigger and bigger and bigger, okay? I like to go ahead and, I always cut them into 2 segments, but it's really important when you get to this stage because the 2 segments is much easier to try and get out of large petals than the one. Okay, so here's a good start. Now, as I said, we're just going to continue to do the same pattern. So our next set of petals are going to come right here, okay, after we've made our outlines. And we go here and then back, back, and back, back, all the way down, okay? And yes, if you want to, you can do one that kind of comes up and down just like this. We can do the whole petal, no problem, okay? But like I said, we're going to just keep bringing these things down. I'm going to end this demo now just so you guys have enough time to play in class. But just go ahead and give it a whirl. You never know. You might just end up loving it. And then again, you might end up just eating cantaloupe, and there's nothing wrong with that either, okay? So, any questions, guys? Great, great, great. Let's carve some fruit, yeah?